Live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, it's time for the Exit Exchange, brought to you by XPX Atlanta, dedicated to changing the trajectory of exit planning services in the Southeast. Now, here's your host.
And hello, everyone. I'm John Ray, your host today, alongside David Shavson and Bob Tanksley, and they are the co-founders of XPX Atlanta, and this is our inaugural show of the Exit Exchange, and we're excited to be here. And David, Bob, excited to be sitting with you today.
You too, John. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
Yeah, this is great. So maybe David, you can just give folks a quick overview, since this is our first show, you know, what we're trying to do with the Exit Exchange and what they can look forward to as we go along.
Yes, absolutely, John. So we are going to be doing a monthly show. We're going to have a variety of guests on each month that talk about exit and succession planning for the business owner in the lower middle market. A lot of interesting topics for our advisor colleagues to those business owners. So we're looking forward to it.
And collaboration's a big term, I know, for XPX Atlanta. And I think that's one thing this show will really showcase, is the collaboration among advisors, right?
Absolutely. That's going to be a central theme.
Terrific. Well, we're excited today to get started this series with Mary Adams. And Mary is really the person behind the scenes of XPX Atlanta that nationally makes it happen for the entire organization. Mary, it's a pleasure having you.
I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So give everyone an overview, a little bit of background on you and how you got the Exit Planning Exchange started.
Sure. So I have a background in finance and have had a strategy consulting firm for 20 years. And as part of that, my firm was one of a small group of companies that was kind of just standing around about 14 years ago at a local business function with other people and saying, you know, there's something different about the lower middle market. And it really felt like none of the existing organizations was serving the needs of this, what we've really come to appreciate more and more as each year goes by, a very special ecosystem of advisors to lower middle market companies. And so we got together, started in Boston, and we've just kind of grown organically. We're up to 13 chapters now. We opened one since COVID started. We have actually 3 more that are going to open virtually. So we continue to grow and thrive, and really have proven the worth of our thesis, I think, even more through the experiences we had in 2020.
Lots of groups like this around, Mary, but the Exit Planning Exchange has some particular value-added features to its members that were important to you. Talk about those.
Sure. So I think first, as you talk about, who we are and what we do, you have to understand the market that we serve. And there are some really unique characteristics of this lower middle market that mean that we all as advisors have to think about collaboration and coordination. And we can't just be good at what we do. We have to understand how the market works, and the needs of our clients are pretty unique. Not something, you might remember learning about in business school. And yet those of us in this market realize that it's a very important, unique, and exciting market niche in the U.S. and in our local markets.
Hey, Mary, Bob here. We all talk, all of us that serve the small business community, we all talk about how important it is to the national economy. And it actually ends up being a very wide swath of the types of businesses How do you guys look at the lower or middle market? Is it is it from a service-based standpoint? They need certain kinds of needs that smaller companies don't need yet. They're not, lower middle market companies aren't large enough to where they have in-house expertise. What does that look like to you?
So, generally we define, and everybody has their own, sweet spot in the market, but we talk about the companies starting around 5 to 10 million in revenues. Some really successful companies, maybe not even that large, but that's about the lower end. And most people agree that around 100 million, things start changing. And so somewhere in there is we'll say the primary focus. But it's about size, but it's also about development. Only 50% of startups make it to 5 years. Most of us are serving companies that have gotten past that 5 years. And now they're on a journey to move from, knowing that they have a product, they have something that works, to actually creating a company. So it shifts from being kind of people-centric, like the founder-centric, to being much more sustainable and long-lasting. And that journey, it can take decades our advisors in our ecosystem are serving these companies at all stages of that journey. And that's what makes it really exciting for all of us. And it's a special market.
Take that a step further. So all stages of the life cycle of the company, right? So when we typically hear exit and we think transaction, but the reality is these folks need help all along the way, right? They don't have, as Bob was saying, the full-on staff in every area. So what does the membership of XPX really look like then?
Well, and it's interesting because we started with this idea of the exit, and it's still the existential challenge that every one of these companies that I mentioned face, right? 50% make it to 5 years, only about 20% make it to 20 years. And so there's this process to find out what works, how to grow. So you need marketing, you need strategy, you need finance, you need human resources. And because they haven't reached a critical mass of size, they often don't have a VP covering all of those things. So the business owner is using a lot of external advisors, building capabilities internally. But if you think of each of these advisors, the accountants, the valuation, the consultants of all stripes, are part of this team that's supporting a company, but it creates a huge challenge for us and a responsibility that we have to be good at what we do and give good advice on whatever it is our area of expertise is. But we have to appreciate that we're just pieces of a puzzle and how we fit into that puzzle, and that it isn't just about me and I know it all and I'm going to tell those lawyers. It's about the company. It's about the leaders within the company, and how can we be part of the solution? And the way you're part of the solution is to make sure that you understand that overall puzzle, and that you have good relationships with the other people the other pieces, the other people playing roles supporting a company.
How does exit planning fit into all of this? Because what you're talking about is transitioning a company from beyond that first 5 year block of time, for example, into something that could end up superseding the owner, and that takes so much preparation. This notion of exit planning. Where do y'all see exit planning fitting into this?
So really over time we've come to understand that as like the existential goal of all privately held businesses. And it's not a moment in time. It's not, there are people that do deals that are in our network, but that's not really what it's about. It's about, can you build a business that can last beyond the people that are running it today? That's the ultimate goal, because if you can't, then it all disappears. And so exit planning is basically, for private companies, it's saying long-term thinking. If we're thinking long-term in a privately held business, we have to make it sustainable and scalable and profitable, frankly, for everybody involved, or it's not going to last. It's going to close down. And that's where it gets really interesting, because in all of our local markets and across the country, these businesses are absolutely critical to creating jobs, to supporting, local charities and local politics and really the heart blood of these economies. And so, that's what I think gets a lot of us in this network really excited, is that we're helping the owners, we're helping the companies, but there's a ripple effect of what we're doing. And so it really gets back, our catch-all phrase for explaining that existential challenge that they face is exit planning.
So put us practically on the ground. We're talking about the collaborative. No, but bringing it down to that practice, because where I'm hearing two things, right? Inside the head of the business owner, he or she is thinking, gosh, maybe recognizing I have these needs. How can I afford all these needs? And on the other side of the fence, you have the advisors of all sorts who are building their own practices, growing their own practices. How does that, or what are the challenges you see of that team truly actually coming together, collaborating, working together, and make it work with the client frankly, just from a financial standpoint on the part of the client, as well as organizationally, operationally, for that team to work together over what could be a fairly long period of time? So
we're all human beings, and I always say that if you have even one human being in a room, it's complicated, because we do it to ourselves if somebody else doesn't do it to us. So I think that, and if you have an executive team in, say, a larger company, we know that there's always dynamics, personality, and just, the way people approach what they do. We all play different roles. The accountants are more, by the book, and the marketing people are out there trying to create something, in a very different way from, other people playing different roles. So, and then it's multiplied when you're not actually in the company, inside the building or inside the control structure. So, I think that's what, one of our biggest challenges. One of the founders, I mentioned there were a couple other companies with mine that founded the original XPX chapter. And one of them, my partners used to use the phrase, the collaboration imperative, that, there's a certain kind of person who is a team player, and there are many who aren't. And, we've at XPX have gotten to be extremely, I don't know if flippant is the right word, or militant, if you wanted to be more strong about it. But the idea is that, people come, and if you're collaborative and you see other people who have the same mindset and are team players, and of course you're going to always defend what's right to do, but for a company, but there are often many options, and there are a lot of other factors. So if you're collaborative, then you're probably going to stick around in our organization, and you're probably going to be a better advisor. And it's one quick thing, David, about how it all works. I mean, I think that's in some ways the magic, and I think hopefully over time we'll all get better at defining what that magic is. But we know that, and we all know from experience, that if everybody's pulling in the same direction, the company's going to do better. It's going to cost the company less in terms of all these fees. Because if you start talking about collaboration, people's first reaction is, well, I can't afford to pay all these people. But the truth is that if it's done right, you want to pay all these people because they're going to help you have better results, and you're not going to go down different paths with individual advisors that actually work in conflict with your overall long-term goals.
Folks, just to reset here, we're here with Mary Adams, and Mary is the executive director of the Exit Planning Exchange, which is the umbrella organization for XPX Atlanta. Mary, talk about how what you've got to say here is very interesting in terms of how advisors work together and how they navigate that in the best interest of the client. But talk about how you and David and Bob and your colleagues at XPX communicate this to the business owner and the need for this from a functional point of view years ahead of when an actual exit will occur. Because there's cost, and you just address that. But there's also just the functional part of this in doing the right thing for the client, getting the right people in front of the client, right?
Right. So I think, XPX, we haven't really defined who we are. We are an ecosystem of advisors. We have the local chapter here in Atlanta that we'll talk about a little bit more in detail, I hope. It's the same nationally in all the markets that we serve. It's a very, very, very diverse group of advisors. The one thing we all have in common is that we serve that unique lower middle market niche. So we all have similar client profiles, but we're doing different things for them. And, add to that we're the advisors who are collaborative and, embrace learning and, kind of buy into the XPX ethos. I've lost where we were going with that, but I get so excited talking about XPX.
Well, that's a good thing, Mary. No, I think what we were talking about was just, the communicating the mission of XPX to the business owner when you're an individual advisor and talking about the need for the collaboration.
Right.
Yeah.
So you get to, thank you. You get to this point where if you have all of the advisors who are working with an owner who have this, maybe they don't have they definitely don't have the knowledge of how to do everything, but they have the vision of what that full life cycle looks like and understand, we talk about at a minimum, there's 3 stages in the life cycle: business value growth, business value transfer, owner life and legacy. So you have people touching all the pieces of that. But if each of us also has a vision of what that looks like, and we spend the time, and that's what we do in an XPX meeting is month after month, we hear about different pieces of the puzzle and we come to appreciate what other people do. And of course, along the way, we get to know the players that do those things. And so now we move from just knowing each other's names, knowing, what school we went to, we have their business cards. Now we're already kind of seeing them in action because we're hearing what they're talking about. We're hearing the questions they ask. So now we have a full appreciation. That means that everybody on the team is an evangelist for this long-term thinking. And so it's less about selling an idea of exit planning. It's more about having the ethos of long-term thinking and bringing that to, in everything all of us do to a company. And that's frankly one of the most exciting things about this market segment. It's not like Wall Street where everybody's talking about what our quarterly earnings look like. Everybody really is much more prone to thinking long-term. And so you have the luxury of making decisions that say, gosh, and God, 2020 is a great example. We're gonna go ahead and pay our people. We're gonna go ahead and do what we have to do to ensure the long-term survival of our company, and we're going to position it so that it's in great shape for what's coming in the future. And so it's everybody becomes an evangelist, and it's less about selling this idea of exit planning, and it's more about bringing sustainability and long-term thinking to the company.
Hey, Mary, here on a local level, the Atlanta chapter, we've been up and running for 2 years this coming May. Can't believe that. We had a phenomenal start. You were there at our launch event. Appreciate that. You've been deeply involved in helping us get as a chapter to where we are today, close to 100 members, and people beyond just the deal team, just the people who come in toward the end of an ownership life cycle, all the consultants and all that. What is unique about the Atlanta market? What do you see that we've got going on down here that has, I guess, catapulted us to the largest chapter status in the network?
Yeah, which is no small feat, right? Because COVID hit just as you were hitting your first anniversary, and your team has just done an amazing job. What's different? I hear people in other cities talking about Atlanta that, wow, Atlanta's really doing well. It's an exciting city. So you've got a great market to start with, but I don't think you can attribute your success to that. I think you've just built a great team. There's a lot of depth there and incredible professionalism. You're already running different kinds of programs and bringing in just a beautiful mix of people and advisors. We talk a lot about diversity of perspective, and we mean that on so many levels. It starts with having over 12 professions, right? But the way, you, David, and I talk about it, it's probably 2030, right? And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? What is the individual profession? But so I think it's about your professionalism. I think it's about your vision. You've been able to keep it going, virtually. And, I think that's a testament to the fact that in some ways last year we needed each other more than ever, right? There was just such a barrage of challenges and changing information that, obviously there's tons of information out there on the internet, or we all get tons of stuff in our email inboxes. But it's so much better to talk to somebody you trust and hear straight from them, gee, listen, these are the three things you have to think about whatever it is, PPP, about changes in the market, what people are seeing. So, that's what it comes down to. I think it's dedication and professionalism that you and all of you and your team have brought to this. And that's what's exciting. I mean, we haven't talked about the way we set this up, but when we started XPX, we really wanted to kind of turn the model on its head, that this is about the local chapters. We don't have a big national organization that's lobbying or, has its own agenda. We have this when we founded the first chapter, we created a small association management company. It's dedicated. It takes care of, on a few levels, it takes care of the chapters. One is the operational, all the stuff we don't want our volunteers to have to do. The stuff I hated to do when I was a local chapter president of other organizations. Websites and admin and all that stuff. We have a wonderful staff that helps us with that. But then the magic really comes from us all talking to each other and learning from each other. And I guess I give our network a little credit in your success, that I think each time we launch a new chapter, we're taking all the lessons of the past and providing that to you, but then setting you free to do what you think is the right for your market. And clearly you're meeting the need.
Folks, we're here chatting with Mary Adams, and Mary is executive director of the Exit Planning Exchange. Now, Mary, I'm here to ask the question because David and Bob are too modest, right? So, and their team. But let's talk to maybe others that are thinking about getting involved in starting a chapter, and some lessons learned that you've seen in terms of what other chapters have done, and then why XPX Atlanta has been so successful, in spite of some of the headwinds of a pandemic.
Yeah. So we have something of a formula that has worked really well for us. Usually one or a few people. In this case, there were 3 of you that got started, and then we don't let a chapter start until there's a full team in place and they've actually capitalized what will become their local nonprofit. Not a ton of money, but enough so that you can do things well. And I think Atlanta did that amazingly well. And it took us a few startups to get to that formula and understanding what would work. But I think the fact that we have 3 in development right now, following what Atlanta did, speaks volumes about our own journey, right? as an organization to take what was a good idea and turn it into something that's repeatable and sustainable. And the thing that I find most satisfying is that when we get, the presidents together, or, choose any of the key committees, and we get the chairs from all over the country together, and you ask them about what's important and what are the key elements of our culture and what we're doing, you hear the same thing. And it's not that we've spoon-fed them, but we've created that environment where there's this shared culture and shared vision that only gets stronger over time, and I'm really excited about it. And I think here at Atlanta is pushing that even farther and defining, very much leading and helping define our future as we make that ecosystem even stronger, going into the future.
Yeah, we've had quite a few conversations with the starting chapter in Charlotte lately. I think a conversation too with Miami. I understand that Nashville is the latest to get started. So all throughout the Southeast, we're happy to pass on our experience to whoever will listen.
Yeah, it's exciting. Really, it's an exciting time.
And while we could listen to you go on forever about us, let's just one last question, which is, for everybody listening to this, in particular, that range of advisors, what's that message? Why should they be part of the community? How can XPX help them?
Yeah. So I always tell people that if you're in this market, if you're advising companies in the lower middle market, if you're a trusted advisor, you're working with the senior management and or owners, that the people in the room are all the people that you want to know. Because most of us, we get our business from referrals, often from other advisors. That for most of us, that's the primary source of business. That's not to say that we're a place where you walk in and we start giving you leads. That's not at all the intention. But if you're willing to invest in this ecosystem and share what you know and are interested in learning from others to create that kind of magic that we talked about with the team, then this is like the most efficient and the most exciting place to be, because you don't have to buy 30 people a cup of coffee on a periodic basis to get, stay in touch with people. You're going to see them on a regular basis, and you're going to see the magic happen, that it's not just one person, but when you get all of us in a room, the ideas bat around and, get better and better, and we get smarter every day. So if you're an advisor, this is a great way to build your business. It's a great way to gain visibility. And frankly, do much better by your clients, because you're going to be a better advisor, and you're going to know the people that your clients need to know at different points. So that's the way I pitch it.
That's a great pitch. Mary Adams, she's the executive director of the Exit Planning Exchange. Mary, this has been great. So delighted to have you for this inaugural show for the Exit Exchange, underwritten by XPX Atlanta. For those that would like to be in touch with you, tell them how they can do that.
So we have one big website for the whole organization. It's exitplanningexchange.com. My contact information is right there in the contact tab. XPX Atlanta has their own site within our site. So you go to chapters and click on Atlanta. You can see David and Bob and the whole team, how to contact them. You can click right there and get in touch. So one URL will do it all for you.
That sounds great. Mary Adams, thanks so much for being with us.
This was really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And folks, just a quick reminder that this show, The Exit Exchange, is brought to you by XPX Atlanta. XPX is leading an exit planning revolution based on a simple, long overdue realization that advisors can create much more value for their business owner clients when they work together. XPX Atlanta is where our area's best advisors meet, collaborate, and share their expertise, and also build relationships so they can assemble the very best teams to guide their business owner clients through all stages of business growth toward a better and more successful exit. Learn more at xpxatlanta.org. David, Bob, we did it. First show. This has been awesome.
Thanks so much, John. We're excited.
Yeah,
a lot of fun. John, thanks for giving us this platform.
Absolutely. This has been great. And we look forward to doing this again next month. And so for my co-hosts, David Shavson, Bob Tanksley, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on The Exit Exchange.